Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks, here to give you your market update while I open this box of Crew. If you like the content, do something for me. Hit that little like button, leave a comment, push the subscribe, get some notifications about new drops and new information. I try to keep on top of it and ahead of the curve so that you can have the information as quickly as possible. It helps the channel and it costs you nothing, and we're trying to grow this year, so please help us out. Spread the word, spread the love. Anyways, let's jump into it. The first thing I want to talk about that's worth mentioning is the announcement last night, the ProQuest. Now, there's not much to speculate on here, but I think it's big for, one, the game as a whole, because now you'll be able to get an invite to the Pro Tour by going to your local game shop and playing a competitive game there. The second thing I want to touch on that will affect the market, and this is degenerative speculation. I will not be participating in this, full disclosure, but it's something, if you're looking for something to spec in, this might be the kind of hint that gives you that edge. So the thing that I'm looking at is the playmat. It is a Ranger class. This could mean that more Ranger support is coming, either in Everfest or the following set. Now, this looks like it would be art from the following set because it's not the same bright colors we see from Everfest. But there's no guarantee there isn't some dark side to Everfest as well. So this is something that indicates there will be some sort of support for the upcoming, for Ranger class in the upcoming prize support that starts in February, the middle of February. So look at that, think about it. If this is true, if they're going to give Ranger like really strong support in one of these upcoming sets, then you could indicate that, you know, Ranger gear will go up in value. The hood that gives the 2 arsenal slots, New Horizon, perch grapplers, some of the bows that might look good. They're a little harder because the mechanics of each of them is slightly different, and until you know what the cards do, it's hard to decide. But that could be some degenerate speculation, Ranger stuff, if you're looking to do that. Cool prize support. This is top tier stuff, guys. The playmats are unique. I'm guessing they are the card called Random Drop, because in the prize support it lists Random Drop Gold Cold Foil as an award. It is not revealed. It's in like a little envelope, so we can't see what the card does. But Random Drop kind of looks like what this image is. It looks like Rangers jumping down from somewhere and shooting a couple people in the face with arrows. That sounds pretty much like a random drop to me. I could be wrong, obviously, and let me know if this art is somewhere else in some other card. I've never seen it before. I'm pretty sure it's a sneak peek into something coming up. Question is it this set or is it the following set? Now, Everfest drops in the beginning of February. This ProQuest starts in the middle of February, and then we know that the first set of the next block, I guess, is Q2, so that would be April, so a couple months away. Are they going to preview and give out people a gold foil card of a set that's not out yet? So that makes me think it's probably Everfest, right? That it makes sense that it would be an Everfest card, and particularly valuable or powerful card since they're doing it in gold foil. Could also be a unique card, but I don't think they've ever done that where it's a unique playable card. So if it's an unplayable card, maybe something to think about. That's definitely degenerative speculation, not recommended. I would not, I'm not participating in that, but if you want to chase that, go for it. And I could see it working out. So, next thing, market news. Ban effects, right? So Duskblade dropped 10% in 24 hours or so. Now, the 10% represented $3, so not that big of a deal. Even though it's fully banned now, the cold foils and all the rest, they dropped a little bit, but not a whole lot. Okay, so what? Who cares? Moving on to other things. Ball Lightning and the rest probably are worthless, but they weren't worth a whole lot anymore. Plunder runs, I think people did collect those because they were so powerful to a degree, so that might be hurt a little bit. But again, I think your first editions hold up just for a piece of memorabilia, and then the non-first editions probably weren't worth that much in the beginning. There's a few other things I want to talk about before we get into kind of the overview of box prices and the stuff and that stuff. It's kind of important. Rudy put out a notification the other day saying there was 4 or 5 things that are being bought up on a consistent basis, and I double-checked him and looked at the markets, and he does seem to be correct. The first one is Nightfall for MetaZoo. It bottomed at like 180. It basically hit 230, or was at 230 by the time he released his video saying this. or no, I guess it was a notification to his patrons. It was already at 230, and it happened in the course of a few days. And if you look at the buy history, it's like 1 to 2 for the past weeks and weeks, just on and on and on. Essentially, a consistent buy up, which looks a lot like a market buyout, right? And now, as of this morning, so this was yesterday, I think, or the day before, it was 230. As of this morning, it's already at 270, and basically he said he expected to be 300 or more. When I looked at TCG Player just a few minutes ago, there's only 13 left on there. So supply is getting, alarmingly low. So if you have your MetaZoo position in Nightfall, hold on to it. It'll probably continue to appreciate in value. If you can find a deal on it, I hear Channel Fireball is still selling them for like 190 or so you might be able to grab a deal if you haven't gotten a position, which is still pretty good since you can flip it on TCG Player immediately for 270 apparently. So just keep that in mind. It's something out there. He listed a couple other things. He said Zendikar collector boxes, he expects to go to 300 plus. They're around the same price they've been. I didn't really notice any appreciable growth, maybe a few points here or there, but nothing crazy. He says there's a lack of supply. I put a big question mark next to that one. I didn't see that confirmed, and we all know Rudy likes to pump things when he wants to pump things, and not everything is as it seems with him all the time. But he might be right, and maybe if you see something out there, leave a comment about how I got this one wrong. I didn't notice it though. Chilling Rain, which I told you about earlier that I was interested in, and I basically spec'd on it before Rudy came out with his first I'm gonna spec on Pokemon because the prices are so low video that he did. I think it was a week ago. Basically, after the podcast with Tommy, where I was talking about it's hard to pass this up. I went and bought a bunch. Chilling Rain basically was I forget if it was 80 or 90 bucks, so it was really cheap, low downside, high upside potential. Well, he came out and said he just closed a deal for 3,000 boxes. So thanks, Rudy. You just took a lot off the market because I'm assuming he's going to just hold on to them. But he does say he doesn't expect the prices to increase for about a year. So that's a longer hold situation. I just think it was the right move, and I already participated in that. And if you can get boxes for cheap, you probably have some time because there is a lot of supply out there. But Chilling Rain is what Rudy's chasing, so maybe that's the right move. My opinions. I told you which ones I was chasing, and we'll see what happens. So, next big thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to be quick. We might have to sit at the end here with just some cards for a second because I'm almost done opening these. But I want to cover these because they're kind of important topics and they're macro topics that need to be thought about as a whole. The main one is that the inflation rate is a 39-year high. It came out, I believe, yesterday morning. CPI is 7% year over year. Okay, so what the hell does that mean? And this is important when you consider diversifying your assets and parking your money into things that appreciate. Last year, if you had dollars in your bank account, the value of those dollars went down by 7%. So your savings account lost purchasing power or value or money, right? By comparison, if you had bought something and parked that money into an asset that holds value, such as a collectible that has this sentimental value, and that sentimentality will hold up, or a bar of gold, I don't know if you would do that, or a cryptocurrency that has a stable non-US dollar pegged price, or a house, or anything else that's considered an asset and will be an asset in the future. And let's stay with the topic of the channel, which is, collectibles. If you bought a collectible, its value by default of the inflationary rate alone probably went up 7% over the year. And we know a lot over 2021 went up a lot more than 7%. So what you're seeing in these price spikes, part of it at least, is this inflationary pressure. And it doesn't happen evenly, so it takes time for some things to get hit with it. It'll be later with other things, etc. So you might still be able to get ahead of this curve a little bit. But essentially what that means is because the value of the dollar decreased by 7%, essentially, or the use of the dollar, all other assets increased by default 7%. And then On top of that, because people know this, they pile into these assets, protective assets, risk off assets. And as a result, what ends up happening is they bubble, right? They go even higher, and we know we saw bubbles. Now, I'm not going to attribute Fab's bubble to inflation. Fab's bubble was degenerative speculation at a high scale. I mean, a lot of people dump money in trying to, get the free 10 see the next big wave, etc. But there was a built-in 7% upward pressure on it, which is part of the thing you have to think about when you think about where to park your money and trying to speculate, ahead of the curve. So what that means is, and when you want to try to get ahead of the curve, what that means is when there's these built-in upward pressures, you have to look at a wealthy individual's mentality. I have cash, that's a horrible place to be. I want to be in something that's diversified, relatively riskless because it will hold its value over long term, and an asset that will maintain its liquidity, the ability to sell it later, right? And so collectibles is one of those spaces, and I think that's where you get all these people buying up early product, alpha, WTR, Arcane Rising, etc. It's part of the reason I did it, because I have other assets that I've already, put money into that are more volatile, and I feel that cards, particularly early level cards, are less volatile. Now, I wouldn't say Fab is that yet fully, but I believe in it, so it's a little bit of a speculation there. I'm hoping for more gain than just that. But I do believe collectibles, old Magic, etc., do hold value in the long term and ultimately will go up when there's inflationary pressures. So it's worth looking at. It's something you need to consider if you're trying to maintain the value of your dollar, because that 7% that the dollar decreased in value versus the cards, when you go to sell it, if there's just a flat inflationary pressure, you're going to have maintained your purchasing power theoretically when you sell the cards. So you'll have about the same amount of value, purchasing power, as you did when you went into the cards, even though the dollar has dropped, because you'll end up with more dollars, right? Because the price went up by that percentage. Now, if you beat that 7%, that inflation rate, then you're looking at a return above and beyond the purchasing power you had going in. And this is important. This is pretty big news. 7% is the highest since 1982. That's crazy. That's almost 40 years ago, right? 40 years we haven't seen this kind of inflation. So this is a big dynamic shift. And as we wrap up, I'm gonna pause the sorting and everything after this and just chat for a second, because I want to get into a few other things on this. It's very important that you protect your assets from this kind of shift in the market, because it's essentially going to be a shift. And cash is a problem at this point while inflation maintains high levels. And I'm not sure that the Fed, who does the interest rate adjustments that will help maintain this or control this, are going to be able to get it under control immediately, because there's a lot of other pressures involving equity markets and commodity prices and the ripple effects of what happens when you adjust commodities. I don't want to get into it, but we had problems with it in the 80s around stagflation and the like, and it's one of those things that they have to play this very carefully, and allowing it to creep up a little bit isn't the end of the world. But what it means for you as a person with collectibles and things of value, you need to protect your assets. And so to do that, you need to park them somewhere that is safe, and collectibles is one of those places. But, and I say this as a very important thing for any of those people that are still listening, #but for the competition. This is after, and I want you to remember this is after you put money into a matched 401k or retirement plan. This is after you have your emergency fund. This is after you invest in something that has some level of value hold, like a house or things like that, right? So all of this should be speculative money above and beyond. It's not the kind of money that you put in when you're trying to make rent or any of those things. So just think of it that way and realize that there are ways to protect your assets. So as we wrap up here, I just want to give a quick update on interesting dynamics within the sealed product space. I'm going to try to keep these on every one of the market updates just so we have an idea of where the market is for specific things. Obviously, sealed has a premium. It's kind of the gambler's premium, if you will, because you don't know what's inside. I don't want to go through all the prices. I think we're out of time basically here. But things that are interesting, Ellie or Tales of Aria seem to have found their bottom, and it's drifting up steadily. It looks like it's actually created a market dynamic very similar to what you want to see. You have the high initial, you have the dip, and then you have the slow uptrend. It is doing it. It looks good. Mon, and this is in Unlimited as well, has found its bottom, which is great. And then I want to talk real quick about some interesting things. WTR sold for as low as $31.50, first edition. I think the middle ground is 3,800 and Pristine or 4K. Interesting. Mon First seems to have found its bottom at 175, and then Crew First and the case format has drifted down slightly to 3,449, that's just lower than it has been for a while. I think the first cases of Tales of Aria is still trying to find its bottom, so we got that. And Mon cases are drifting up. So anyways, that's pretty quick market update. I'll try to make this a mainstay of future things, but there's so much to talk about this time that I just wanted to get into it. So let's go ahead and clear this up and get the cards going. Alright, let's see what we got here. We got KO Rainbow Foil 140, Mandible Claw Reverse Rainbow Foil 215, Reaping Blade Rainbow Foil 190, Beast Within at 560, Heron's Flight Rainbow Foil 148, Absorption Dome Rainbow Foil $1, Rattle Bones 260. Massacre is going for 350. Remorseless 2485, a big hit. Poison the Tip 125, and then the biggest hit of all is the Courage Blade Hold, which is 3795. Total 8368. Not a bad box at all. Pretty good. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the content. Like and subscribe. Pass it on. Leave a comment. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one.